Yudhasya Katha Ramya. The tales of war are enchanting. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for your country. Stand up for something greater than you. Don't get stuck in the I, me, myself kind of a syndrome. You have to rise above yourself. Fear is the greatest fetter. Overcome your fear and the world is yours. जो डर गया मर गया. Shed fear. भय को तजो. सारे देवी देवताओं का एक हाथ अभय मुद्रा में होता है. इसका मतलब मैं आपको अभय दान देता हूं या देती हूं, डिपेंडिंग ऑन देवी और देवता. अभय दान मीन्स भय से मुक्त, freedom from fear, because we program ourselves for success and we program ourselves for failure. The principal, members of the faculty, my dear young ladies and gentlemen, such a privilege to interact with such a brilliant academic audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I am from the batch of 71. We are called the Born to Battle batch. We were to be commissioned 14th of December 1971. We were in the month of October. The clouds of war were gathering. You could see the vultures over East Pakistan, then now Bangladesh, Sonar Bangla. And, we all knew that a war was imminent. So, we were called to the drill square. That is where we do our parades, and the adjutant came on the white charger, the white horse, He said, boys, you've done very well. We are very impressed by your standard of training. We are going to commission you a month in advance, 14th of November. So we all clapped, because in the army, even a single day's promotion can make the difference between you becoming the chief or not becoming the chief. You understand? That's the criticality of seniority in the armed forces. So we all clapped like that. So the adjutant turned to the assistant adjutant and he said, Bichare. So he says, sir, why do you say that? He said, you know something? By the time these boys get commissioned, possibly the war would have started. They'll all get 10 days leave to see mama, papa, get into the trains, and they'll get off the trains and into action. The boys will not know their name. They would not know the names of the boys. So a lot of them are going to get killed. And he was damn right. He was absolutely right. Bacho, we got off the trains. I still remember 25th of November, we landed at Siliguri railway station. It didn't have the sheds then, open sidings. And the bloody place was full of soldiers. Early morning, 7, I think we had reached there. And full of soldiers. Steel helmets, rifles, and thousands of bayonets glinting in the winter sunshine. That's the first sight I clearly remember. It deeply impressed in my memory. Bayonets, how they shimmer, steel bayonets, how they shimmer when the winter sunlight catches them. So we were 30, 40 of us from our batch in that train, Assam Mail, and we started hugging one another. We were not sure when or whether we would see one another again. And then our boys came up, साहब जी जल्दी करो, पलटन बांग्लादेश में है, बांग्लादेश लड़ाई में है, जल्दी करो. तो we said, ये ट्रंक शंक कहाँ रखना, उदा फिकर ना करो साहब, ये फड़ो तो अड्डी स्टैंड, अपनी स्टैंड पकड़ो, इस पे बेनट चढ़ा लेना साहब, और ये स्टील हेलमेट डाल लो साहब, सिर्फ अपना पैक ले लो जिसपे आपका कंबल शंबल है सोने के लिए, और आपकी वाटर बॉटल जरूर ले लेना, बाकी साहब ये रियर में जाएगा, चलो साहब जल्दी करो. So that is how, we went. In the very first night of service, a number of my batchmates got killed. They did not get their first pay, but their parents got their first pension. That's how the cookie crumbles, right? And we lost hell of a lot of my batchmates. Some were killed, some lost their bloody leg. They go around on a plastic leg. The best boxer lost his arm. He has a plastic arm. But we are damn proud of the fact that in just 13 days, we were at the cutting edge of a war in which we had broken Pakistan into two bloody pieces of Pakistan. 13 days, our armies had marched in 550 kilometers inside Bangladesh. We had captured the capital city of Dhaka, and 93,000 Pakistani prisoners of war had surrendered. It was the biggest mass surrender after the Second World War anywhere in the world. We had created a new nation state, helped create a new nation state along with the Mukti Bahini with the force of arms. With the force of arms. But it was damn sad to see that same nation state, the Jamaat-e-Islami, the Razakars coming back via the back door. And you know who the Razakars were and what they were doing during that war of independence? They were supplying women like pimps to the Pakistani armed forces. Can you sink any lower? And those people were trying to stage a comeback. I'm very happy democracy has still functioned, even though the turnout was 48 to 50%. Normally in Bangladesh, with full this thing, it is 80% turnout. They're educated people, sharp in the head. But thank God, it is the BNP of Khalida Zia, late Khalida Zia, and her son Tariq, who has now won the election. It is none of the those upstarts who had brought in Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad Yunus, incidentally, we due apologies to anybody from Bangladesh who is here. He was parachuted from Washington. His claim to fame was that when he was running the Grameen Bank, right? When he was running the Grameen Bank, he said, I am helping the poor fishermen, the poor farmers and this thing. But he gave $6 lakh to Hillary Clinton for her election campaign against Donald Trump. Donald Trump wasn't too fond of him, by the way, right? But the fact is that the CIA and the ISI had helped stage that colored revolution. I don't know, not many of us believe in astrology, but just as an interesting highlight, let me tell you that the constellation of stars and planets is exactly what it was in the times of the Mahabharata. You got it? So, however much we would like to say that this is not the age of war, we would like to say that. I'm sorry, it is. The war in Russia, Ukraine has been going along non-stop for the last 4 years. It is only getting more and more intense. About 2 million Ukrainians have perished, about 1 million Russian soldiers have perished, and there is no end to the fighting. Then we knew what happened in Israel and with the Hamas and the Houthis and the Hezbollah, and then the war with Iran, and now there's again a war imminent on the horizon with Iran. It is a very turbulent kind of a phase. And the Chinese, as per the intelligence reports that we are getting, are feeling this is the ideal chance when America is bogged down in Ukraine, bogged down in Israel-Iran conflict, right? This is the time for us to go and take Taiwan. Don't be too surprised. February is the month in which the sea conditions are just ideal for an assault across the Taiwan Straits. So don't be too surprised if something starts there, right? And then I hope you all remember that Operation Sindoor is not over. There are a huge amount of challenges. But then, as Arnold Toynbee, the doyen of historians, said, great civilizations rise in response to great challenges from the natural or social environment. So don't get daunted by challenges. Don't get daunted by challenges. Look to the future with hope. A sine curve. I'm not good at maths, That was my weakest subject, but that's why I joined the infantry, because I would have to do no maths, just fighting and killing the right people, right? And I've done plenty of that. There are about 300 plus Pakistani terrorists buried underground and about 40 to 50 Pakistani soldiers dead. Why am I here? I've come to pass down a torch from one generation to the next. And which is that torch? You don't have to have an Olympic torch. The real torch, the real flame is here. This is the fighting spirit. That's how you fight. Boy or girl, this is what makes you fight. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for your country. Stand up for something greater than you. Don't get stuck in the I, me, myself kind of a syndrome. You have to rise above yourself. You have to transcend your assertive emotions of gluttony, lust, greed, all those kind of vices, they assert the self. But what are self-transcending emotions? Courage is a self-transcending emotion. There's one little lesson that I'd like to leave to you. You may join the armed forces, you may not. I'm told there are some of our boys and girls planning to join the armed forces. That's the best career you can ever have. Believe you me. But not all of us, number of them will become captains of the industry leaders. But there is one life lesson that I want to leave to you. It's not from the books, It's from real life. I have fought in 71 war. I have fought counter-terrorist operations in Punjab, where I commanded a Khalsa company against the Khalistani terrorists. And let me tell you, I never got more loyalty from my Sikh troops than from any other ethnicity. I have fought in Kargil. I have seen artillery fire. I have seen a boy hit in the belly with an artillery shell fragment, his intestines spilling out. I hope you understand what that means. 6 feet of the big intestine and 21 feet of the large intestine. It's very slippery, And it was spilling out, and he was so much under shock that he felt no pain. That boy was just pulling back his intestines back to his stomach so that the doctor could stitch him up. I've seen men die to my left, I've seen men die to my right? And I want to give you today one life lesson. Whether you are a soldier or you are not a soldier, this life lesson concerns us all. And it is about fear is the greatest fetter. Overcome your fear and the world is yours. Overcome your fear. You see, जो डर गया, बोलो, जो डर गया, मर गया. You see? And like I said, you may become a soldier, you may not become a soldier. Right? One of my boys, I just remember that story, and Yudhasya Katha Ramya. The tales of war are enchanting. When us Buddhas sit around the campfire in the villages, all the little children come to Nanu, Nana, Dadu, kahani sunao na fauj ki. So I'm telling you stories. Because the way of teaching ethics in India is through stories. Jatak Katha, Panchatantra, they're all stories, but they teach ethics. So the ethic that I'm trying to teach you is about overcome your fear. Why is it essential? It's essential in every field. Because there is the law of reversed effect. Think of the time when you first learned how to cycle. Either your elder brother or your elder sister took you to an open field. He or she hired a small little cycle for you so that if you fell off, you would get too badly hurt, right? And he or she took you to that middle of that open field and said, "Piche se pakda, pedal, pedal, pedal." And you started pedaling, and then, and then after some pushing you for some time, he or she left you and you started wobbling, but you started driving. And suddenly in the middle of the field, you saw a patthar. And kya? Patthar, 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 and dhal, you will go hit precisely that patthar. What you fear the most will come true, because fear is a very strong emotion. What you fear, sir, my dear ladies, will come true. Tomorrow you leave the college and you decide to start, I'll start a startup. So you take a bank loan, your mother gives you her jewelry to, pawn for that, you see, and you've taken a lot of money from friends association and you started a startup, right? And then the fear takes hold of you. What if it fails? मैं दुनिया को मुंह क्या दिखाऊंगा? ये बैंक लोन कैसे पे होगा? मेरा घर भी गिरवी है, वो भी चला जाएगा, माँ के गहने भी चले जाएंगे, कैसे होगा, क्या करूंगा? You keep thinking of failure, boy, and you will fail. You will fail because of the law of reversed effect. But, but, why can't you think I am the next Ambani? Baju Hato, Adnani, I am the next big guy on the block. I am the next billionaire. Think positive, and positive things will happen to you. And I'm giving you this life lesson from the battlefield. I was fighting in Kargil. One of my very bright youngsters, lieutenant, he came in. And he joined the unit, and there was shelling and mortars and machine guns and air defense guns, bombardment, anti-tank guns going on. कोई यहाँ मर रहा है, कोई वहाँ चोट खा रहा है. तो quite obviously he was a bit shaken. Anybody would be. First you enter the army and then this starts happening. So there was an old JCO. JCO is a junior commissioned officer, and like me, old, white hair. So he turned to him and he said, साहब, यहाँ तो बड़ा गदर है, यहाँ से जिंदा जाने का नुस्खा क्या है? So the JCO turned and looked him up and down. He was 6 feet 1 inch tall, very handsome guy, good basketballer and all the rest of it, So he said, साहब आप वॉलीबॉल खेलते हो? वॉलीबॉल, हाँ, लेकिन उसका इससे क्या मतलब? I asked you what is the way to get out of here alive and you tell me आप वॉलीबॉल खेलते हो? He said, नहीं साहब आप खेलते हो ना? हाँ. आप में से कितने वॉलीबॉल खेलते हैं? Just raise your hands. हाँ, ओके. वॉलीबॉल में खड्डा क्या होता है? Anybody who can tell me what is a khadda in volleyball? I'll tell you. You are playing that game and you have reached match point. So one service and the match will be decided. And you are told to do that service, right? And all the rest of your teammates say, "अबे ठीक करना बे, नहीं तो हम लोग को हरा देगा, ये है वो है," and all that, So you take that ball. You know what you do? You take that ball in your hand and you study the faces of the opposite team. The guy who's looking most worried, उसको serve कर दो, he'll drop it. वो खड्डा है. बेटा लड़ाई के मैदान में भी गोली खड्डे की तरफ आती है. It senses fear and it homes on. I'm telling you this from not one battle, 5 battlegrounds I have survived. Once I was selected for a Lifetime Achievement Award, right? And I was quite surprised because I was in the company of Shri TSR Subramaniam, Cabinet Secretary, and Shri Qureshi, Election Commissioner, and all. I said, my God, whatever. So when my turn came, so they called me on stage. They said, General, you served 37 years in the army. What was your greatest achievement? So with a very straight face, I told them, staying alive, Zinda Rehna was my greatest achievement. Because they sent me from one combat area to the next battlefield to the next battlefield. When I asked them, why don't you give somebody else a chance also? They said, no, sir, you're doing very well. We need to win battles. So we keep sending you. I said, till I die or what? Ladies and gentlemen, I am alive and kicking. And it is because of the prayers of my wife and my daughter. And when I fought, they prayed like hell. So the one life lesson that I can give you is shed fear. भय को तजो. सारे देवी देवताओं का एक हाथ अभय मुद्रा में होता है. इसका मतलब मैं आपको अभय दान देता हूं या देती हूं, डिपेंडिंग ऑन देवी और देवता. अभय दान मीन्स भय से मुक्त, freedom from fear. You are going for an exam and you get into the UPSC exam. What if I fail? What will my batchmates will snigger? What will my teacher say? What will my mom and dad say? इतना खर्चा करा दिया coaching पे, ये वो ये and all that. You will fail. फेलियर फेलियर फेलियर, तो आप 24 घंटे फेलियर सोच रहे हो. थिंक पॉजिटिव. आई एम गोइंग टू बी इन द मेरिट लिस्ट. एंड जस्ट बाय द वे, when I went for my NDA exam, I was second in the All India merit list. So you set your mind, you remove bhai tajo, and you are going to be a winner all the way. जो जीता वही सिकंदर, मुकद्दर का सिकंदर. You know, that's what you will be. A winner all the way, like Arjun. Like Arjun. Because we program ourselves for success and we program ourselves for failure. Please bear that in mind. This is what I have to tell you as an old soldier. Now I'll head to that side. And if the young lady wants to ask me a question or you want to ask me a question, then we'll specifically address the issues that you want to raise. Jai Bharat! Jai Hind!
Sir, firstly, it's my immense honor to have this conversation with you, and it was an exhilarating talk. We talked a lot about war. So, when your comrades, your brethren are getting killed, brutally killed, and when it is your turn to draw blood, there is no place for remorse. Is it true, or is it just a crude generalization that we as civilians ignore a plethora of emotions that goes through the mind of a young soldier? What is it, sir?
You know, one of the greatest experts on civil military relations is Samuel Huntington. And he talks of a soldier society covenant. You know, a soldier is required to sign up and say, I will get killed if I have to save this country. I will suffer the loss of legs, arms, eyes, whatever. But I will do my duty. And in turn, what does society tell the young man or young woman? He tells him, don't look over your shoulders, boy. Don't look over your shoulders. If you die, we'll take care of your family. If you lose your limbs, we will ensure that you are not left helpless on the streets. But I hope you've seen the latest defense budget. Have you seen the defense budget? It is imposing income tax onto our war wounded people who don't leave the service. That is callousness. That is Babu Dom at its worst, insensitive worst. So you have to be sensitive to what your soldiers are going through, what they are doing. Out of sight, out of mind. He's fighting in the Siachen, he's fighting in Ladakh at minus 40 degrees centigrade. You got your heater on. Don't forget that boy. Don't forget that girl. Thank you.
Also, sir, we are increasingly talking about a multipolar world today. But considering the actions of Washington, what they did in Venezuela, USA still is a major power bloc. And we are still on a path for a multipolar world. We are not there yet. India, as of today, how viable is our aspiration for strategic autonomy?
India is a key player. It is a key swing state. Which way India swings will determine the destiny of the global order. Our generation broke Pakistan into two. This generation will have to break what is left of Pakistan into five. Into five. And let me tell you what five. You know, Sindh, Baluchistan, Pakhtunkhwa, West Punjab, Sairikia. These five. Unless you do that, we will never be able to live in peace and quiet and harmony. They will keep making our lives miserable. You have to end it once and for all, and that the task is of your generation. Americans think it is a unipolar world order. It is not. It is an order which is transiting well on the way to multipolarity. And Donald Trump is trying to reverse it. It is an empire in decline. It is already showing the signs of an empire on the finito mode. The Spanish Empire once, its currency was globally used. For 80 years, it dominated the world and then it vanished without a trace. The British Empire, the pound sterling once ruled everything, it vanished without a trace. Today, the dollar, the petrodollar, very clever crookery of Henry Kissinger to make the world buy oil only in dollar, right? That's on the way out. Countries are trading with one another in their own currencies, right? In their own currency. So therefore, We are living through very crucial times. India is the president of the BRICS, right?
Yes.
And therefore, we have to take a critical stand. We don't have to get, overawed by bullies. We've handled the United States quite well. And for those of you who still need confidence, when we fought in 1971, President Richard Milhous Nixon had tilted totally towards Pakistan. All the help that they could get was given. The Americans sent their 7th fleet to save Pakistan, but they could not. Pakistan was still broken in two when we were not a nuclear power. Himmate mard, madade khoda. Right? So don't get scared. Don't get scared of big bullies.
So
Stare
we'll
them back in the eye. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. We'll have one last question.
Good.
So, we saw Operation Sindoor. The entire world is aware of India's military might. But still, being a veteran, I would like to ask you that what is that single biggest strategic blind spot that we need to focus urgently? Or is it something that we are focusing less upon?
Uh, भारत को सोने की चिड़िया कहा जाता था बच्चों. सोने की चिड़िया. Let me ask you a simple question. कहाँ गया तुम्हारा सोना? बाहर से आए लोग ऊंटों पे लाद लाद के सोना तुम्हारा ले गए. You forget Sona. They destroyed your temples. They burnt your libraries. Nalanda burnt for 6 months. They raped your women. They sold them off in the brothels of Bukhara, Samarkand. Aren't you ashamed? We better do something now to protect our wealth. And somehow we have this, ahimsa, parmo, dharma, and we are a very shanti priya nation. Sorry. If you can't protect your nation, all good that you do within will go to the dogs. Right? So we have to be able to protect ourselves. We have a defense budget which is 1.9% of our GDP. This needs to go up to 3%. In the recent budget, we've gone up to 15%. It's not adequate. We have today an air force of, how many? How many squadrons? It is supposed to be 42. Guess how many squadrons? 29. What is Pakistan's strength? 25 squadrons. That means we are almost there. Parity. When you have to deal with a 3.5 front threat, 3.5 front threat. Pakistan to the west, China to the north, and Bangladesh now looking for weapons from China and the United States, wanting to create a cookie land out of Manipur and Mizoram, right? Wanting to interfere in the Seven Sisters. Don't try it. Don't try it. We don't fight below our weight, right? We don't fight with countries like America picks weakest countries to fight. Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, kicks them around and, scares the rest of the world. We don't pick on weaker neighbors, right? We look for guys like China and Pakistan and we have sorted them out. And should they misbehave again, we'll sort them out again. That is the task of your generation in all fields. So the short answer is we need to focus more on defense. Thank you.